So I've had a lot of comments flood in on my YouTube channel, a lot of emails with questions, and several phone calls with issues with the Deus 2 software, maybe the updater software, or their coil, or their programs that they're trying to develop, or their programs that they already have developed with their previous versions of the software, and they're trying to use their old programs for the new software. And it doesn't work like that, man. The parameters for a few of the settings have changed on the Deus 2 to make it run a little bit hotter, and to also to soften the tones. So you have 2, 3, 4, 5 pitch and full tones options on the Deus 2 tonal menu. And then in all of those tonal options, you can choose between PWM, which is pulse width modulation, square tones, and the new high square tones. And you also have a new audio feature too that you can use with all those combinations. It's the audio filter. And the audio filter really is truly amazing. It's really underestimated how really great that setting is. I've used it a lot, and I've really had some spectacular finds with it, and some really, I mean, hammered on beat up spots, and in some pretty harsh conditions. So with all the comments and the emails that I've been getting, I've seen one common theme, or it's not a mistake, it's maybe a misconception, or just inexperience with this new software, because they've only had it a couple days, or maybe they've had it for a little while, or they're a person who is experienced with the Deus 2. I see a common misconception that the silencer has a great impact on your digging up nails and the falsing, so I want to know how a detector is going to sound like in iron. Just right when I turn it on, I want to dial it in and get it to that tolerance level for me. Everybody's different. Everybody has a different tolerance level for falsing, and for how loud the tones are, or how fast you're swinging, how much trash you're digging up. Everybody has a different tolerance for the amount of trash they're going to dig out to their ratio to treasure, so, or whatever you call treasure. But a lot of people are using a zero silencer to start with. You better get some experience. I'm just telling you. I just got to back up and say, hey, I was not using a zero silencer when I was first using this hot software, this 7.1, or this version 1 software, because I wasn't used to the tones. Now I run it at zero silencer. I'm not digging up any nails, because I've learned those falsing tones, and I don't dig up nails. And it's been that way for most of the versions of software that I've had. And I've had many versions of this software here. A lot that I can't even talk about. So the audio response, a lot of people, this common, it's not a problem, I should say it's a common setting that I see that is giving a lot of people problems. And they have come back to me and said, oh, it was the audio response. So many people have said that. It's the audio response all along. I've been struggling with that damn audio response because I've had it up to 5, Why would you want to have an 11-inch coil with an audio response up to 5 with the zero silencer? That's running it way too hot. You're an iron. You're not trying to go deep in a bed of iron. You are trying to pick out shallow targets, and you don't want to dig out nails. You don't want to false on those nails. And what the audio response does is it amplifies everything in the ground and everything in the air. If you're swinging too fast with a high audio response, you will get falsing on every swing of your detector. And you will get falsing with EMI. You will get falsing on droplets of dew on the ground if you have an audio response jacked up really high, because you're trying to go deep. You will get you will get falsing on iron, you will get falsing on minerals. Everything is amplified with that amplifier. Audio response is a gain, is an audio gain or an amplifier. It amplifies everything. So it increases the amplitude of all the signals, all the audio on that. So when you're in iron, I don't want everything to be amplified. I just want to get just a couple inches down, right? I'm not trying to freaking go dig to China with a huge coil. So I want to put a small coil on it, drop the audio response down as low as I can so it's not over amplified, and I can run a high gain or a high sensitivity and still get those small targets. And you can drop your gain down, or you can drop your sensitivity down, but it greatly reduces your chances at finding targets at 3 or 4 inches deep if you're around any iron. So the audio response has a lot to do with most of these problems that I've been seeing with people's programs, and the silencer, and also the PWM tones. You know, the PWM tones is that grinding, abrasive tones. You know, when you swing, sure, it might work good in test garden, but when you start hunting with that for long hours, you will get, your ears will fatigue, and you have to have a lower volume level. And you know, headphones help too. I don't use headphones because I'm making videos, so I'm at a huge disadvantage, but I've learned how to hear those tones swinging super fast. Just a little blip when I'm swinging fast, I want to investigate those blips because it could sound like an iron. I mean, I can swing over target really fast like I always do, right? I don't know how many thousands of times you've seen me do this with all my machines. If I get a little iron blip, I'll go over it slow and then, or sweep over it slower, and I'll get a high tone. And because I'm swinging fast, you know, detectors will hit on targets when you're swinging fast, but they'll sound totally different. And once you start swinging slower at a pinpoint speed, you know, like this, not like this. When you're swinging wide like that, you're going to get some iron tones on your deeper targets. But it really is about your swing speed, and if you're swinging too slow, you're going to false more on targets. You know, the Deus 2, I don't even think it's needed a pinpoint button. I mean, why have a pinpoint button that you have to pinpoint a target? You have to push 2 different buttons. Hasn't made sense to me ever since Deus 1. Why do you even need a pinpoint button on the Deus anyway? It pinpoints better than any machine out there on the market, than any machine. It just hits on targets. It's very responsive, right in the center of the coil. You don't get a lot of side beep action. If you have the machine set up, if you have your auto response, I'm going to tell you, if you have your auto response set up really high, you are going to get some bumping tones. Drop that auto response down and you'll settle that machine. That's see what I do when I dial the machine in. The auto response is a huge savior when I'm in high EMI, or when I'm in trash. I just drop the auto response down as low as I can, like 1, 0, sometimes 0. You know, if I'm really in some harsh trash, because I'm not trying to go 6, 8, 10 inches deep when I'm in modern trash. There's just no way, no detector will do that. And so I have to hold it back a little bit. And that's a good way to hold it back, is drop the auto response down without dropping your sensitivity down below 95. You know, even EMI, even if I'm getting a lot of EMI, I can drop that auto response down to 0 and there's no more EMI, even the harsh EMI. And you can change frequencies. You can change that frequency max on there. You know, the frequency max. So some people have been saying that, you know, why even have multiple preset programs if you can change the frequency now? Well, that's a good question. Well, the different programs are operating at different frequencies, and that's just a limit. That's a limit for those frequencies. So if you have a program that is running low and high frequencies and you're in the 24 kilohertz frequency, it's going to limit that frequency that higher frequency to 24 kilohertz. You're no longer running at a low frequency and a high frequency like a 40 kilohertz or 30 kilohertz or whatever. That's proprietary information. The amount of frequencies and the frequency bandwidth that those multi-frequencies are running at. And when you offset that frequency, it changes a lot. So that's why it's who cares what the frequencies are running, as long as the machine is performing very well with those settings. You know what I'm saying? Like the Legend, who cares if the Legend is gonna perform really good in multi-frequency when it performs even better in single frequency, right? As long as it's performing like it is, I don't care what multi-frequency is doing. The same thing with the Deus 2. If the Deus 2 performed much better in single frequency, I would just be using single frequency. I just got to work with what's working. I got to use what's working. And a lot of the programs respond different to different targets in the ground, because the moisture and the EMI and the frequency, the limit will have a great impact on EMI. But if you're getting EMI, the best advice that I can give you is just go to the mono frequency without having to drop the gain down. That's the last thing I do to dial a machine back, to shut the machine up, to stabilize it, is the sensitivity, because that's a huge setting. And once you drop your sensitivity down, you can raise some other settings up, because the sensitivity really decreases your chances at finding small targets and deeper targets. But a lot of people don't know this. The sensitivity is not going to get you deeper in the ground. It's a mute. It is a filter that silences a lot of deeper and smaller targets. Even the targets right near the surface and you're down lower in the gain, it's not gonna hit it, no matter what frequency you're in, because it's silencing. It is muting the detector. It puts like a muffle on it. And with the audio response, I'm just go back to audio response. Audio response is really important. That's one thing that you should really take into consideration. If you have a high auto response, you're not going any deeper than one auto response. You just have to listen very carefully to the tones. It's still going to give you the same tone. So listen, it's still with an auto response on a deep target. That target is still going to give you the same tone pitch if it's at audio response 5 or audio response 1. But at an audio response 5, you have all those other tones that the detector is generating for you, and you're able to hear that. So it's amplifying everything else in the ground, so you cannot pick that target out from all the other trash or the EMI or the droplets of dew or the minerals in the soil or the nails or whatnot. So I use the audio response to great effect with a lower audio response. And am I missing deeper targets? Nope. I'm not missing deeper targets. You look at my live dig videos, I'm digging pretty deep. I'm digging just as deep as other machines, and I'm not really trying to go deep. If I wanted to dig deep, I would just not do YouTube and just dig out a bunch of junk, and spend a lot of time digging deep junk. I want to dig a lot of shallow targets out and show you guys what the ground sounds like. So I see a lot of tests out there with machine, on these just one single test. And when you do a single test, like in a test garden or something, and you can dial that detector in to hit that one target really good. Well, with those same settings, just walk around like for 2 minutes. Just walk around your house, walk around your garden, and just go swing around with those same settings. What's going to happen to that detector? How is it going to respond to the soil around you? Not only that target. I want to know how it's responding to the environment so I can tolerate the noise, the ground noise, or the trash and whatnot. You know, your program or your settings that you're showing might work good for that one target, but what happens when you turn around 360 degrees and walk 5 feet? What is that detector going to do? Is it going to false on the ground? Is it going to false on some foil? Is it going to false on some deep iron? Are you going to get EMI? Is it going to false when you swing it too fast? Is it going to false when you pump your coil? I want to know what a detector is going to sound like when I'm just going around and hunting. Just swinging the detector around, digging target after target, and I want to know how stable that detector is with those settings. It's just kind of irrelevant to me watching these test videos, because when am I going to dig out a nail underneath? How many chances do I have to get a nail underneath, or a coin underneath a nail like that? Probably not very much chances, because there's a lot of minerals in the ground. I do have some live dig videos coming up that are pretty spectacular, with the Deus 2 coming up really soon here in the next few days. That'll just blow your freaking mind. But you have to dig out the iffy targets, man. This is not a magical detector now. It's not a magical detector. You have to start out with a higher iron. You have to start out with a higher silencer, a higher or a lower auto response, and swing not too fast. You know, it's going to be quite a bit different than your old versions of software. So there's just a few tips. One takeaway that you can come out from this video is just the auto response. Drop your auto, just go out of your comfort zone and drop that audio response down to 2 and see what you can get out of the ground. You'll be really surprised how much more stable the machine is. Just like shuts the machine up. I've had many people come back and say, oh man, that's the whole time I've been struggling the whole time with this freaking Deus 2, and it's all along it's been the auto response. So huge tip there for you guys. Thank you for watching.